Welcome, future industry professionals. Get ready, because today's explainer is all about applying basic special finishes. We've designed this specifically to prep you for your upcoming practical training. So, if you're looking to transform a standard, boring wall into an absolute work of art, well, you are in exactly the right place.
Okay, let's dive right into this definitive guide. Our goal here is to bridge the theory you've been learning at Genesis International College with the actual hands-on mastery you're going to need once you hit the tools. We're taking the key concepts from Topic 8, distilling them down, and making sure you can walk into those practical sessions feeling totally prepared and, honestly, super confident.
So here is our blueprint for today. We've got 1, planning and prep, 2, mirror finishes, 3, broken color, 4, modern acrylics, 5, gilding and stenciling, and finally, number 6, cleanup.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, Planning and Preparation Essentials.
Look, I can't stress this enough. Every single decorative masterpiece relies on rigorous, uncompromising preparation. You simply cannot cut corners here. It doesn't matter if you're going for a faux suede or a high-gloss mirror shine, you are always going to rely on this universal 4-step process. You plan, you prep the area, you apply the finish, and you clean up. That's it. It is literally the golden rule of decorating.
And during Step 1, your planning isn't just about picking out some nice colors. It's actually a highly technical process. You have to read the work instructions, interpret complex plans and specs, and make absolutely sure your work complies completely with legislation, Australian standards, and the National Construction Code. Basically, your decorative work has to be as compliant as it is beautiful.
Moving right along to Section 2, Mastering Mirror Finishes. Building directly on that foundational prep work we just talked about, applying a mirror finish is a really structured, step-by-step process. You're taking a surface from its raw state all the way to a flawless reflection. And that means you start with your PPE, do your safety checks, prep the surface, and then methodically apply your primer, your intermediate coats, and finally that perfect top coat.
Now, when you watch the training demonstrations for this module, I really want you to pay close attention to what's called the laying off brush technique. Your trainers are going to show you how this very specific brush movement is the absolute secret to getting that flawless, glass-like finish without leaving a single streak behind. It's a real game changer.
Which brings us to Section 3, Broken Color Effects.
This is where we get to be really creative with texture and depth, using techniques like rag rolling, sponging, and stippling. The method changes a bit from a standard solid paint job, right? After your normal area prep, you apply a solid base coat, then lay down your glaze. It's over this wet glaze that you actually create the physical broken effect using your tools, and then finally, you lock the whole shebang in with a clear protective coating.
During your upcoming Chalk and Talk session at Genesis, your trainer will demonstrate this live. Make sure you watch exactly how they manipulate the scumble and the different glazes to achieve these effects. Pay super close attention to their hands and the pressure they apply, because honestly, it's all about touch and technique.
But before you even step into that session, I want you to hit the tools and really think actively. Ask yourself, how are sponging, ragging, or stippling actually being applied in modern commercial and residential spaces today? Think about how these traditional techniques have evolved to fit right into contemporary interior design trends.
Next up, Section 4, Modern Acrylic Finishes.
What's genuinely fascinating about these highly textured finishes that clients are constantly asking for right now is just the sheer variety of materials we use. Try to keep these categories straight in your head. We're working with everything from metal powders to ceramic beads and crushed lime. Oh, and remember this massive trade secret from your resources. Pearlescent paints absolutely cannot be sprayed. Seriously, you have to use brushes and rollers for those specific finishes.
You also have to adapt your surface prep based entirely on the chemical makeup of the material. Because metallics and pearlescents will highlight every single microscopic flaw, they demand a completely glass-smooth surface. But on the flip side, something like a lime wash or faux suede, that's practically designed to add raw, earthy texture right onto the wall.
When your trainer demos the faux suede or pearlescent applications in person, keep an eye on how the tools interact directly with these unique chemical mixtures. You'll notice pretty quickly that applying a faux suede with a brush feels entirely different from rolling a standard acrylic wall.
Let's look at Section 5, Gilding, Lining, and Stenciling.
Now, this category of finishes demands incredibly steady hands, a ton of patience, and a really sharp eye for strict geometric precision. A core skill you're going to develop here is lining by brush. This is exactly how we execute those crisp, perfect stripes you see in high-end design. It requires you to completely master your brush load and your physical posture so you can maintain a continuous, unwavering line.
Because whether you're using complex pre-taping techniques to map out a pattern across a massive wall, or you're pulling a perfectly straight freehand stroke against a straight edge, control is literally everything.
And that need for control? It gets even higher if you're working with precious metals. For gilding with materials like gold leaf, the entire method relies on applying the correct adhesive, which we call the size, and letting it reach the exact right tackiness before you even attempt that incredibly delicate gilding step.
It's the same story for your stenciling practicals. Precision is key. Pay particular attention to how your trainer tackles the absolute hardest parts of the job. Watch closely how they work into tight edges and corners, and definitely observe the specific techniques they use to stop the paint from bleeding right under the stencil edges.
Finally, Section 6, Proper Site Cleanup. So, we return to the very last stage of our universal 4-step process. And honestly, this is the stage that separates the amateurs from the true industry pros. Proper site cleanup is vastly more comprehensive than just tossing your brushes in a bucket of water and calling it a day. It's about strict environmental compliance, properly disposing of chemical glazes and solvents, and ensuring total site safety before you hand that space back to the client.
So, what does this all mean for you? The takeaway is clear. Mastering the rigorous prep work and site management is the only way to truly master the final visual finish. So take these structured techniques, watch your Genesis trainers like a hawk during the chalk and talk sessions, and ask yourself this: when you finally walk onto a site, will you just be painting a wall, or are you ready to engineer a masterpiece? Good luck with your practicals.